So good morning, and thanks very much, Terry, for the warm introduction. Thanks to all of you in the building trades unions for inviting me to speak at this conference. I've had the privilege to address building trades events in the United States, but this is my inaugural appearance before the building trades here in Canada. And Rita, I'd also like to say I enjoyed your presentation, and for the record, I am not wearing 4-inch heels. I'd also like to acknowledge the Prime Minister who will be speaking with you this evening, and I think the building trades have hit an interesting bifecta. You got the President of the United States at your conference in the United States, and you have the Prime Minister of Canada tonight, and I think that speaks volumes to the importance of this collective group to the United States economy, to the Canadian economy, and to working families and the middle class in both of our countries. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be speaking with you today. I'm also thrilled to be speaking live and not on a Zoom screen. I've been here for nearly 5 months, and I have to say that at least until I looked out my window this morning and saw the snow flurries, it's been a lot more pleasant being here in April than it was in December. And I can say, even with the snow flurries, at least they're not sticking. And I came here, and for 5 months, for 4.5 months, I didn't see any grass because the ground was snow covered by the time I arrived. I've already had a chance to travel around this amazing country, to Toronto twice and Hamilton, to Montreal, out to Vancouver, and next week I'll be in Quebec City. I've had the honor of speaking to small groups and large conferences, to audiences of policymakers, entrepreneurs, activists, and academics. But today is my first chance to speak to labor leaders, and I've been really looking forward to it. Now, some people might think it's a little unusual for a United States ambassador to speak to a Canadian Union conference, but I don't. Remember, I am the personal representative of President Joe Biden in Canada, and based on the critical role that unions have played in building the middle class, the President has vowed to be the most pro-union president in history. So I am proud to stand in his shoes and representing him in front of this audience. I also appear before you with a long track record of working with building trades unions in the United States. For example, my former employer, Comcast, built 2 high-rise office towers in Philadelphia at a total cost of $2.5 billion, 100% union labor, with the excellent construction and quality work provided by the Philadelphia building trades. In fact, and I choose my words carefully, so I mean every word I'm about to say, I believe that you and your members are at the heart of everything that the U.S. Embassy and consulates across Canada are doing to strengthen the relationship between our two countries. Like you, we want to be stronger now. I think that slogan is right down there, to build back better from the pandemic and create a sustainable economic recovery for everyone on both sides of our border. You and your co-workers in the North America building trade unions represent the interconnectedness of our two countries and our economies, and we all have to work together to bring our economies back. So in February, we celebrated the 1-year anniversary of President Biden's very first bilateral engagement with any country in the world, with Canada, where the President sat down for a series of virtual meetings with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Even via video teleconference, the warmth and friendship between our two leaders and our two countries were abundantly clear. More importantly, this virtual visit led to a very concrete result: the roadmap for a renewed U.S.-Canada partnership. When people ask me what has been accomplished over the past year in the U.S.-Canada relationship, I start by noting that the roadmap really is quite an accomplishment in and of itself. It's the kind of shared, ambitious, strategic vision that could be put in place only by the closest of friends and allies. It's not an overstatement to say that the roadmap has brought the U.S.-Canada relationship to a new level of cooperation and collective purpose as we renew long-standing relationships and look toward the future. The roadmap is truly comprehensive. It's not just about prosperity or security or shared values. It's about all those things and more. The roadmap is organized around 6 pillars. We have 6, you have 4 strategic objectives, but there are some shared objectives. Combating COVID-19, building back better from the pandemic, accelerating the battle against climate change, advancing diversity and inclusion, bolstering security and defense, and building global alliances. These 6 pillars are all important, and they're also interconnected. For example, bringing the pandemic under control and advancing diversity and inclusion really are cross-cutting priorities. Unless we make progress on them, we won't get very far on any of our other priorities. As I look back over the past year, I can confidently report that we have made progress. Although a lot of our work has been slowed by COVID and by other world events, we have moved the needle in a number of consequential ways. People may sometimes discount process-oriented work as not being particularly substantive, but we have worked very hard to build a foundation for our ambitions, which will enable us to deliver substantively on the promise of our renewed partnership for people in both countries in 2022 and beyond. In the roadmap, President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau committed to building back better from the pandemic. And it's important to treat every one of those words. It's not just building back and returning to the way things were before COVID, but making sure that our economic recovery after COVID is inclusive and sustainable, that it strengthens the middle class and ensures that Americans and Canadians have good jobs and careers, that it leaves us in a better place than we were before the pandemic. For the United States, Canada, and the world, economic concerns are becoming more tightly linked to national security and broader national interests. In this environment, any thoughtful industrial strategy should prioritize partnerships with countries that respect fundamental norms and values, countries we can rely on around transparency, open and fair rules-based trade, workers' rights, and equity and opportunity. Speaking from my past government and corporate experience, I understand and believe passionately in the importance of organized labor in building our economies back better. As you know, President Biden spoke to your U.S. counterparts earlier this month, and I want to emphasize a point he made, and I'm going to quote him. You're the ones who literally built this country. I think it's fair to say the same applies here in Canada. Unions aren't just good for the workers who join them. Rebuilding with union labor is smart for business and the public on this side of the border and the other. So over the past year, we've also seen a tremendous growth in trade between our two countries, and we know there is the potential for more. U.S.-Canada bilateral trade was up 23% in 2021 to $758 billion US dollars. That's the highest it's been since 2014 and the second highest in 23 years. To put this another way, quoting one of my favorite statistics, more than $2 billion in goods and services cross the U.S.-Canada border every day, creating and sustaining millions of jobs on both sides of the border. That is an incredible statistic. Yes, we have some disagreements, as any family does, but we can't let our disagreements bury the lead of our incredibly strong relationship and the enormous economic benefits both countries derive from our relationship. Of course, we also face some real challenges in the years ahead, especially on climate change. President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau understand that the health of our peoples, our economies, and our security is at stake in the battle around climate change. President Biden has wasted no time re-engaging with the international community to meet the shared challenge of climate change. The United States has re-entered the Paris Climate Accord and significantly enhanced our climate goals. The United States and Canada also led by example at the UN Climate Conference in Glasgow to accelerate global ambitions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We have both committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. I don't have to tell you how essential workers in the building trades are to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and enabling the transition to a low-carbon future. From making our buildings more energy efficient to helping the energy sector's transition to constructing the infrastructure that will help us achieve a net zero emissions future, we could not do this without you, the members of the building trades. We have underscored our commitment in the roadmap to make our societies more diverse, equitable, inclusive, and accessible. This is something I'm very passionate about personally, and I'm extremely proud that it plays such a central role in the roadmap. Diversity and inclusion cut across the other pillars of the roadmap. It's pretty simple why. If we can't make progress on these issues, we're going to have a hard time bringing real prosperity to all of our people or strengthening democracy in our countries and around the world. President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau also agreed in the roadmap that collective security is a shared responsibility. That expression of mutual commitment a year ago has proved to be prescient as Vladimir Putin launched a premeditated, provoked, and illegal war of choice that is bringing catastrophic loss of life and human suffering to the people of Ukraine. The remarkable unity among the world's democracies, led by the United States and Canada, strengthens my conviction that democracy will prevail over autocracy. Let there be no doubt, the United States and Canada are in lockstep with our allies and partners in holding Russia accountable for its horrific behavior and supporting Ukraine and its courageous citizens. So it's been quite a year. We've done a lot, but there's even more to do. I've had the privilege to know Joe Biden for nearly 3 decades. And one of my favorite Joe Biden quotes about the United States-Canada relationship is that there's nothing we cannot achieve when we commit ourselves to it. And when we work together as the closest of friends should, we only make each other stronger. That is what I am committed to do as United States Ambassador to Canada. So thank you all very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your conference and enjoy the spring weather in Ottawa. Thanks.